Today is all about the 9 most common money blocks that I see that entrepreneurs face. All of these I've experienced myself at some point or other. So I really want to touch on these because I think they're so important to highlight what comes up a lot, and remembering that these will come up at different times too, because they have so many layers to them. They might be obvious, they may not be quite obvious. I know some of them won't be. And when I discuss them and go through them and how they might show up, I know you're going to be like, oh, this is me. I've had this before. I mean, obviously I've been working with you all and some privately too. So I know that these are definitely trends and I see them all the time. All right, let's get into them. So this is what I want to touch on too, because this is kind of where they all actually stem from in the moment. So there are 3 types of minds: your conscious, your subconscious, and your unconscious. For the purpose of this, we're just going to be talking about the top 2, but more so your subconscious, really. And we're going to include the unconscious within that 90%. So your conscious mind is only about 10% of your mind. It's everything that you're actively aware of right now. The thoughts you're thinking right now, how hot you feel, what's on your to-do list, what you've got to do after this meeting, all the tabs that you've got open, you're consciously aware of what's going on. That's only 10% of your mind. Underneath that is your subconscious and your unconscious, but those together make up 90% of your mind. So they're all the things that you're not actively thinking about, but they make up how you behave. So your habits, your beliefs, your long-term memory, and also your unconscious goes into more like your bodily system. So you're not constantly thinking about breathing, blinking, your heart pumping. Like they're your automatic, instinctual behaviors and processes within your body that just naturally run. So we're not worried too much about that. But I wanted to touch on that too, because a lot of the time people only talk about the conscious and the subconscious, whereas the unconscious is not really touched on, and it is a part, but for the purpose of this, we're only really going to talk about the top 2. So your subconscious is the one that is the most important, because this is what we need to tap into when there's something that we desire. So say we make a decision, this is what I want to achieve in my life, this is my next goal. But then we feel like, well, why is there this resistance? And why is it actually not happening? And that's because deep in the subconscious is where you've got these blocks, these beliefs, these perceptions and self-imposed limitations that might be playing out, but you're just not aware that they're playing out because you probably played them out for so long, for your entire life. And most of them you'll pick up when you're a lot younger. But your subconscious is what you can actually tap into in different sorts of modalities, like hypnosis is one of them. That's actually probably my most favorite one, is hypnosis, and even visualization. And to be honest, silence is one of the biggest things. You can recall so many memories when you silence your mind, whether it's in meditation, great one, because when you're in that theta brainwave state, it will draw upon memories that have happened from a very young age that you might not realize, but in those moments, they made up core memories of yours that are still running the show now. And I think this is something to be really aware of. So when you think about that subconscious mind, we are thinking roughly, say, 80,000 thoughts per day. Sometimes they change, but it's roughly around 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day. Now, we're not actively thinking about all them consciously, but subconsciously, they're running the show. They're on repeat. So think of them like a radio station. And every single day you wake up and you hit play, and it's those same 80,000 thoughts that are just going. And you're not actively aware of majority of them, but they're just going repeated. And 90%, this is the craziest fact that I learned, 90% of those thoughts that you wake up and it just automatically hits play, you thought yesterday, the day before, and probably a year before, unless you choose to hit stop. And this is the cool part about it. You actually can do that. You can do that. So you're not going to be playing on repeat and habitually going throughout your day. You can actually stop that and start tuning your radio station to different radio stations that are what you actually want to see, what you actually want to experience. Because it's just about changing the radio station, but then also upgrading that software, which is where it comes into what we're feeding our mind, the content we're consuming, what we're telling ourselves. Your words are so powerful, not just your spoken word out loud, but your words inside your mind are so powerful because your mind doesn't know whether it's true or false. It has no idea. This is why there's the power of visualization too, because when you are picturing something like an event, let's say there's something big that's happening in your life, like a big event that's a real core memory of yours, you can replay that picture in your mind, replay that scenario. And in that very moment, your mind does not know whether you're experiencing it right this second or whether it's from years ago. It has no idea. I read up on this really cool study, how they actually scanned people's brains at the same time when they asked them to recall different memories. They made them go through a scenario, track their brain, could see which parts were firing, and then let's recall that scenario. The same parts were firing in your brain. Isn't that crazy? The exact same parts. And that goes to show your mind doesn't know whether it's happening now or whether it's been done or whether it's happening in the future. And this is the power of the subconscious there, because you can trick it. You can trick your mind. And you can trick your mind into believing that you've already achieved what it is you want to achieve. Because if you can really tap into it and you can play it out like it's a scenario, your mind's thinking it's already happened. And that's where it comes into that belief of you've got to behave as if it's already done. And you can visualize it in your mind to the point that you can feel an emotional response. Your mind thinks it's done. And when your mind thinks it's done, you've changed that station. You're constantly changing that station subconsciously, which is automatically going to change the way that you behave. And if you change the way that you act, the way that you behave, you're going to change your results. So you will become that person that already has what you desire, because you're constantly tricking your brain into believing that it is already there. All right. And I'm not talking about being out of integrity or anything like that, but when you can picture that elevated version of you, your highest self, and you can play out scenarios and really dive deep. And it takes a practice, because you've got to numb your mind. Like, you need to, not numb, that's probably not the best word, but you've got to quiet your mind. You've got to silence your mind to be able to do that, to be able to feel into it. But this is why it's so important to first off pick up, well, what are those repeated thoughts? What are those patterns? What radio station am I listening to? And like I put here, your mind's job is to keep you safe. Safe is what is familiar. Safe is what you know. Safe is what you're used to. Safe, it doesn't necessarily mean something that's going to cause you harm. Anything the brain deems as unsafe, typically in your day-to-day, unless you really are unsafe and something bad will happen, it is honestly just to keep you in familiar, in known. And that's why, like, we are such habitual people. This is why our minds continue to play out the same way it does. You think about your everyday right now. What do you do when you wake up? When do you get dressed? What's your normal behavior when it comes to like breakfast? What do you eat for breakfast? What happens at lunchtime? What happens in the afternoon? Do you go hit another coffee? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you think about your normal day, it would be highly likely that most of your days look the same, because we're not interrupting it. All right, so the theta brainwave state that I explained before. This is where it sort of all comes from. And you may have heard this before, that majority of your limiting beliefs and your perceptions around yourself, what's possible for you and what's possible in the world that you live in, and all of these interpretations of the world are programmed into your mind between the ages of 0 and 7. Those first 7 years are so crucial. And it's because children do not have that logical mind. And you'll see it in children. I'm seeing it in my daughter, who's 6. She's really starting to like be a bit more calculated, like understand how things actually come together. Whereas when you've got, say, my 2-year-old, for instance, I could tell her anything. My 4-year-old, I could tell him anything. I could tell him that the moon is red and he'd go, oh, okay. They're so suggestible because they're constantly in that theta brainwave state, which is the state of mind that you're in when you're under hypnosis. And when you're in hypnosis, you're more suggestible. That's tapping straight into your subconscious. And this is why it's so important. No pressure for parents. But it's so important. The words that we use, the phrases that we use, the way that we speak about money. the way we speak about success, the way that we speak about dreams and goals and ambitions and confidence, all the things. And we talk about all the things. It is so important, mostly in these years. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't teach them later on. I don't want anyone to feel bad if their kids are older and you're like, oh my God, I've fucked it up. What am I supposed to do? I don't want you to feel like that, because you can absolutely still go back and still rewire, like we're doing it now. I did it and I was late 20s. So you can still do it at any point, because there's a thing called neuroplasticity as well, which you can constantly change the makeup of your brain. But these are really important. And this is probably why you can think back. And I know going through these blocks, it may bring up childhood memories that at the time now, to you, who is someone who is an adult and you've got a logical mind, you can understand how things flow together, and you can understand that things that might have been said by your parents or your grandparents when you were younger in a certain situation were not true. But at that time, that little child, that inner child of yours, did not know that that wasn't true, did not know, didn't have the logical mind that you do now to be able to understand and comprehend what you do. Does that make sense? I'm going to explain, because this is one that I've stopped doing when I realized what it was doing. Okay, so you know when you have a birthday and you're blowing out the candles and everyone says make a wish, but don't tell anyone. Don't you say that out loud. I stopped doing that, and I'm like, no, because if they want something, they need to voice it. They need to put it out into the ether. They need to say it. They need to declare it. That's how you be committed to it. So even for that, it's teaching kids, and again, don't feel bad if you do this, because I was doing this until I was like, oh, hang on, maybe I won't anymore. So what it's doing is it's saying, keep all your dreams to yourself. Don't tell anyone or it won't come true. Don't voice what you want out into the world. Don't declare it. Do you see where I'm going? It's like, don't you say it out loud, because it won't happen. But then as you get older, you have to put it out there, because then you're going to hold yourself accountable. Then you're actually going to show up. When you declare it and someone else knows about it, you're actually more likely to see it through. When you've got an accountability buddy, when you have a mentor, when you've got anyone, when you speak it out, you're more likely to see it through. So why do we tell kids when they're little, keep your dreams to yourself, keep your goals to yourself, don't tell anyone, it won't come true? It's limiting them, and it's telling them from a young age, don't say what you want, don't say what you need, don't say what your goals are, don't be that ambitious, right? Tell me if I'm making sense there. And please don't feel bad if you've done this, because I did this too until I knew. You know what you know. But when you know different and you understand it a bit more, and this is the thing, I have so many of these little reframes and things that I've learned along the way too, so I will share them. But something like that, I just thought that was a harmless thing until I realized, oh no, that's probably why I never said what I wanted. That's probably why I never put out my really ambitious dreams. Probably why I never told anyone. And it took me this long to change the way that I thought about it until now. I will say it and I will do it. So this is how we can unconsciously block ourselves, and we don't even realize we're doing it, because it's already so heavily programmed in. It can be from something just as innocent as that. Something someone said in passing that we have then gone, that's true. Because we don't know what's true. Especially when we're super suggestible and in that theta brainwave state, we don't know what's true. Okay, let me know in the chat. You understand what I'm saying? Is that all resonating? You're like, oh my God, I do that. It's coming up. Let me know in the chat. And as we go through these 9, let me know. Please let me know in the chat what's coming up, if this is you, if it's resonating, because I know that they will. This is the first one. Now, this one might be an obvious one, but to be honest, these 9 are so multifaceted that there's so many beliefs that come into these. So I've just tried to pick the titles where I'm like, okay, got ya. Okay, so the fear of judgment is not just what will people say about me, you know, will they talk behind my back, will they not like me or anything. It's also the fear of actually standing out and shining your light and outshining others. There's also that comes up. Don't shine too bright. Don't be too loud. Let them have their moment. Like, you stay small. This also, I think, ties into the fear of judgment. Not just being seen, not just being heard or criticized. It's people pleasing that comes up too. That that people not liking you, and I put a lot of notes here and I will touch on them, but I will give you examples as I go. But they honestly do stem from lack of self-confidence, self-belief, and even lack of clarity for what it is that you actually want. Is this your dream? Is this someone else's dream? You don't know which way to go because you've constantly got these thoughts of, but what if this? What if that? And worst case scenarios just continue to play out in your mind. So this happens a lot, and I see it a lot. I've been there a lot too, because for the longest time, I didn't start this business because I literally had such fear of people not liking me, especially because I'm talking about money, right? Money, one of the most taboo subjects. Why would you talk about that? You know, who are you to talk about that? And I mean, I suppose I've always been a loud person too. So being seen and being heard was also something that I struggled with because I was always trying to be the quieter person. And my self-confidence was so shot. My self-belief was so shot. I had no idea who I was, lack of clarity, or what I wanted, lack of clarity. And so I wanted to fit into a box so that I wouldn't stand out and I wouldn't shine too bright. But I knew I wanted to shine, but this is where this fear just kept keeping me small. So when you have this fear, you feel like you're not you. You're not fully expressed. You're not being who you are. You're not true to yourself. Again, it might actually come from years and years and years and years of this fear keeping you stuck and having lack of clarity to the point where you just don't know who you are anymore. And you've got to understand, who am I? What do I like without everybody else and what they say you like, what you should like? Societal conditioning. This is where we don't show ourselves. We don't show the funny sides. We don't show, your own humor, your personality. You water down your messages because you're in fear of maybe triggering other people. This is one of the best things that I ever said to myself. And I can't remember who actually said it to me first, but this is what they said. You are not for everyone, and everyone is not your ideal client. And I thought, that's perfect, because the more that I've realized, the more that I've opened up to be myself. And when you know me personally, when I'm with my family and stuff like that, this is what you see. This is what you get. I'm the same person. I sound the same. I speak the same. I will have my horrendous laugh the same. Like, this is just me. So I've learned more to be more like that online too, and not try and be like other people, and not try and just change my words. I don't ever want to put something out that isn't the way that I speak, because that's not being me. I love your laugh. Oh my God. I've got so many comments about my laugh. Friends and family it makes them laugh. Okay. But these are some questions that I want you to ask yourself too. Like, first of all, where has it come up for you? What's coming up for you right now? The fear of judgment, seen, heard, criticized, people not agreeing, people not liking you, not taking you seriously, thinking you're going to look like an idiot. Where are all these coming up in your life at the moment? Maybe there are situations, maybe there are memories that are actually coming up where this has happened, where it's happened frequently. Maybe there were times when you were younger where you were told to be quiet, that you're to be seen, not heard. Especially for women, that was such a thing. I think back in the day more so was you're to be seen, not heard. Or when you're a child, be quiet, the parents are talking. Yeah, that might be one. But then think of this as well. So if we fear judgment from others, we also need to be really mindful of, well, where are we judging? Where are we criticizing others? Where are we wanting to water down their messages? Where are we trying to cut their success or play down someone's success, or say they hit all these goals, they made this amount of money, as if, you know what I mean? Like those kind of things, like, oh, I bet they didn't even do that. They probably were born into money. Think about all those things too, because it's not just your own internal fear, but it's also what you're projecting out. And if you're projecting that out, you're going to get it back. I'm a big believer in that, because that's the energetics, right? That's like attracts like. But when we can see where we are doing it and we can clean that up, we will minimize the impact from other people. And then that's when we get to unlock ourselves. All right, next one, seeking validation. This one is pretty self-explanatory. Are we doing this right? Are we creating the right office? Are we pricing the right way? Okay, all of those, if we're seeking validation from other people, and I've done it in the past, I did it at the beginning, when I was like, what would you pay for this? Worst question, don't ever ask that. I clearly had a lot of work to do. That was years ago. When I ended up burning out because I was like, oh, I'm undercharging and over delivering and this is too much, right? But, everyone makes mistakes and you live and you learn. This is where whenever we're asking other people, especially when it comes to our services and our pricing and the offers that we put out in the world, you need to create what is actually on your heart to create, what you love to create, not accepting other people's money blocks. So when we ask someone, what would you pay for this? What do you think this is worth? We're accepting their money blocks, their perceptions, their limitations, and remembering that money's subjective. What's a lot to you, what's a lot to the next person will be very different. And this also ignores our own authority. So the way that we make decisions, that intuitive hit, that gut feeling, that speaking it out and literally hearing the decision in your own voice, your own authority. This leads to, like I said, it led to burning out for me, lack of confidence. Then I just quit and went on a hiatus for a while until I figured it out and really sorted out my mindset. And then I came back and it's been better ever since. So think about this, like, where am I seeking validation right now? Where am I not trusting myself? Because this is also ties into the lack of self-trust to make a decision. All right, complacency. Okay. Been there, done this. When things are going good, they're going well, the clients are there, the money's flowing, everything's dandy, easy breezy. Like, what's the point in being uncomfortable again? What's the point in pushing yourself again when things are already working out? Complacency, comfort, whatever you want to call it, is the killer of ambition. Your drive, your motivation, your discipline will be squashed if we stay in comfort land and we get complacent where we're at, when it's really not where we're designed to be. We've still got so many levels that we want to hit. And remembering, when we hit a level, there'll always be a new level. So we've got to actually feel successful along the journey. But just being stuck in that, like, things are good, why bother? But then knowing, but one day you're going to have resent for that. You'll resent yourself for not trying, for not moving the needle, for not doing what you wanted to do, for not creating the life that you love, because you were comfortable. How annoying. And we're the only people we can blame if we do this. So where right now are you feeling comfortable? Are you like, I don't actually really need to strive in my business because I've already got a good income anyway? Maybe you're still working. All right. I can see you start timing. But that's the thing. Maybe you've already got an income and like your business is a side hustle at the moment and you're like, oh, I don't really need to because I've already got this income. That was me at the beginning. The business was just fun and it made it easy and there wasn't any stress. And I actually think that that's a good thing. I think going all in too quickly when you're really not ready and maybe you don't have that backing, that's the accumulator in me, right? But when you don't have that backing, it can like freak you out. And everyone has a different level of safety. So depending on how safe you feel, some people feel safe having $0 in the bank to back them up. Some people, tens of thousands, they need to feel safe to back them up. So it's whatever makes you feel safe. But that can kill comfort. And I've done that. I have done that before. And it was honestly at the end of last year when everything was going really well, I was really comfortable. I did have to take a step back to finish my diploma. So a lot was happening. But then I went, oh, wait. Into the new year, I thought, no, Carla, this isn't it. Don't stop being so comfortable, because comfort isn't going to get you to where you want to go. I loved actually writing these slides. It really got my mind going. So think about this. Where are you too complacent right now? Where are things working that are great, like they're actually going really well, but you can turn it up? Even that, it's not about breaking everything down and starting all over again. It's not about doing that. It's not about doing things that you don't want to do either. But it's like, okay, things are great. I am comfortable. I am complacent. So what's working? And look at what's working, what you enjoy. Turn it up, turn the dial up, amplify it, make it even bolder, brighter, put it out there, talk about it, work on that. Because that is the same thing too. I think you do necessarily have to make yourself uncomfortable to grow and keep going, because the more you get addicted to becoming uncomfortable, the quicker you'll collapse time, the quicker you'll quantum leap to the thing that you want, the stage of life that you want, the freedom that you want. But you can do that gradually. You can gradually increase to that. But here is complacency is something that you could do straight away. What's working? Make it better. Push yourself, amplify it, make it even better so that you're still getting closer to where you want to be. Now everyone's probably reading this going, yep, guilty. All right. So procrastination, perfectionism, hand in hand. Where are you wasting your time? Where are you not creating space for the things that you need to? Ideation, creation, moving the needle, marketing your business, making money. Those three things are where it should fall under. If it's not making money, if it's not moving the needle, and it's not marketing your business, planting the seeds for your future success, your inevitable success, the more that you plant the seeds, the more successful you will be. Where are you spending time on tasks that really don't matter? If they're not going to matter in 12 months, 5 years, if it's not going to matter in a month, don't worry about it. That's why I like being too busy. I don't procrastinate. But, okay, one thing I'm going to ask you though, what are you busy doing? Work, kids, 2 businesses. Yes, you do have a lot on your plate. But when you are busy, is it always moving the needle? Is it always getting you to where you need to go? Are the tasks really crucial? Because I think even I can always find things where, okay, I definitely spent too much time on that. I could have done that faster. No, it's usually just getting the minimum done. That's amazing. That's really good. Really, really good. If you are feeling like that though, like you feel busy all the time. Okay, I hear this a lot with a lot of people that, I'm not saying this is you, but this is where I hear it a lot in my like day-to-day life at school pickups and whatever. I hear it all the time. Everyone asks, how are you? And they go busy. I challenge you, everyone, to not answer with that word. Because answering, yeah, just busy. Yep, life's busy. We make time for the things that we want in our life. We are never too busy for the things that we value. And being busy is not a badge of honor. Okay? Not calling anyone out. I was calling myself out there for a while. I'm speaking to myself. I'm reminding myself because this is literally something I'm actively doing it. And I've been speaking to Mick about it, my husband, saying, I'm not answering with that because it just comes out of your mouth. It just falls straight out. Oh, what have you been up to? Oh, how you been? Oh, busy. Oh, as soon as it comes out, I'm like, nah, well, actually, of course everyone's busy. But what are you busy doing? Shit that I love. Spending time with my family, being here with you ladies, creating this work, planting the seeds for my future success, doing shit that I enjoy, creating a life that I love, walking my kids to school, just working from home, having coffees out on the deck in the sun every day. It's amazing. So am I that busy? No. I mean, I am, but to me, it's not. I still manage to get a lot in because you can do so much more in less time when you're focused. You don't have time, so you just got to get the minimum. What moves the needle? Get it done because that's all you got time for. Great. But really challenge you now to not let that word slip out of your mouth when someone asks you, how have you been? How's things? Catch yourself. Busy isn't a badge of honor. And this is something that I had to work on too. I'm still working on it. I still practice it every day because I get asked this question every day. I challenge you to not use that word. All right, comparison. Comparison is a thief of all joy. I figured that was a pretty perfect. Yeah, I can see it. This is a very easy one to make you feel stuck and paralyzed because you're comparing to everyone else and where they're at. Now, if you're looking at someone and they're on stage 10 of their journey and you're at stage 2, of course they're going to be miles ahead. And not everything you see, like the tangible things you see, they're not the most important parts, which are the intangible. If you look on people's social media and stuff, for instance, I'll speak about myself here, for example, I don't show you that I'm waking up at 5:30 in the morning. That I'm waking up, I'm having a shower, I'm getting ready, I'm doing my work, I'm journaling, I'm meditating, I'm creating, I'm doing something. Now, I don't do it every day because some nights I'm up a lot of the time. When my kids aren't sleeping or they're sick or something, I'm up so much that I will let myself sleep in. And then I'm like, damn, now I'm going to have to try and fit extra into tomorrow morning. But you don't see all that. You don't see me going to the gym 3-4 days a week. I'm not just showing you all the things that are actually compiling. And maybe I should do more of that. But that's, for instance, we only see what we want to see and we only share often what we want to share or what we think to share. We don't share everything. You're not sharing the times where you're crying because you feel like shit isn't working and you're pushing shit uphill and it's hard, and maybe you're uncovering a lot of blocks, maybe you're healing a lot of blocks, maybe it just stuff is coming up and it's feeling not good and you're having an emotional turmoil and you just need to give yourself peace, right? We're not showing all that stuff, but that is a part of the journey. There is the dark side of entrepreneurship that most people don't talk about, but there is that. That is normal. And when you allow comparison to creep in there and that makes you feel like that, this is where you need to cut it. You need to set boundaries with yourself and make sure, how much am I consuming? What am I consuming? Am I creating first? Am I looking at everybody else? Am I trying to be like someone else? Am I trying to market like someone else? Am I trying to price like someone else? Am I looking at everyone else's success and thinking I'm not successful? You're always successful where you're at right now. And the more you can feel successful, the more you'll feel successful every day on your way to the goal. Because when you get to the goal, if you can't feel successful now, you will not feel successful then. It is never about that money. It's about that feeling. And that's what we're going to remember of our lives. How did you feel? Did you love your life? Yes or no? If you're hustling your way through and you're not taking time to smell the roses and look at what you're grateful for, because you're comparing everyone else, like, oh, I should be further ahead. I should have this. I should have that. I should be making this amount of money. I should have this many clients. If we're looking at everybody else and thinking we should have all these things, it's like, well, you don't. And you're exactly where you need to be. This is exactly where you need to be. So if you don't like where you're at, or you want things to change, like you want to improve things, it's up to you. And you get to do that because all your choices or your actions or your inactions have got you to where you are. So if you want to ascend and you want to go from here to here and take it to the moon, then you actually need to change it up and have that self-awareness of what's going on. So if you're consuming so much, maybe you are listening to all the podcasts, maybe you are on Instagram all the time, maybe you're watching, I don't know, whatever on TV, like all the time. Make time for yourself. Make time to go deep. This stuff, when I talk about money mindset, these exercises, going into your blocks and uncovering them and healing them and moving through them, it is something that at the very beginning, I was like, I don't need to do that. I'll just like journal on what the block is, but like, you know, it'll be right. I'm talking years ago. It's this work that I thought like, oh, nah, be right. I can bypass that. I'll just do. There's only so much you can do until you realize that you actually need to be the person. And being the person comes with rewiring your brain and changing that subconscious soundtrack so that you're not constantly going to hit against a wall. You may get successful, you may get very successful, but will it feel successful? Will you feel happy? You hear so many stories all the time of people who've made it and they are miserable. And they're miserable because they haven't worked on any of this. They haven't worked on the inside. They don't know how to receive. They don't know how to appreciate. They don't know how to be grateful. They don't know how to move through their blocks. They've still got so much shit under the surface that they haven't even touched on. That's why it's so important and something you always come back to. I am deep in the trenches right now of going through like what's coming up for me at the moment, because every time you get to like your next level, stuff comes up and it's frustrating. It's frustrating, but when you've got big goals, big ambitions, it's going to continue to come up and you're going to need to take it deep. Go deep and heal and move through it properly, not just bypass it and think, oh, it'll be fine, I'll just do all the things and I'll make the money and I'll get the success and whatever. And then one day when I have the time, then I'll work on the shit under the surface. Then I'll work on what's going on in my limiting beliefs. No, do it now, because then you'll get there faster and it'll feel great. Because if you don't, it's just going to feel like you're pushing shit uphill for a long time and not wondering why am I working so hard and things aren't working. And last one here too, that I did want to say, no one is you. This is another block that falls into this really, but the market's too saturated. There's already so many health professionals. There's already so many personal trainers. There's already so many life coaches. There's whatever it is in your industry. There's already so many of these. No one's you. No one has your experiences, your resources, your views, your circumstances that led you here. No one has your creativity. No one's you. People buy the person, the brand. They buy you and why you're doing it. So comparing to someone else is comparing against all of them and who they are and their circumstances and what got them there and all the shit they've had to move through. But when you're not there yet, it doesn't matter. you are where you need to be because it's perfect. The fear of success. Now, you probably thought I was going to talk about the fear of failure. I think this ties in directly with it, but this is the one that's more common. People understand failing. You can speak to your close circle, your friends, your family, your colleagues, your employees, whatever. People understand failing and are always like, just try again, just get back up, just keep going. People understand that. The biggest fear I see is, but if I become too successful, I'm not relatable. They won't understand. They won't like it. I might trigger them. I might have to let some relationships go. People will treat me differently. See where I'm going with this? This one is a big one for me. Yeah. This one is one of my biggest ones. I'm not going to lie. This is one that continues to come up every single level. Every time I feel like this is a new version of me. I've just been reborn again and again and again. Fear of success always comes up. It is uncomfortable to feel like you will trigger the people close to you because it's unknown. When you start out earning your friends, your family, even your parents, big one, especially when you watch them work so hard their entire lives. And then you earn more than them. There can be that disconnect. So familiarity is accepted by friends, family, people on the internet, maybe even potential clients. Sometimes you're going to trigger people that will end up being your clients. They will just circle back to you and realize, hang on a sec, you were triggering me, so I actually need to work with you. It's so crazy. But this is what happens. So the fear of success is deep. And it goes into, what's my life going to look like? How are people going to treat me? Are people going to want to come and take it? Discount me, discount the work, discount the success. Does anyone else feel like this too? This comes up a lot. So I had this conversation with Mick and I said, my goal is to become unrelatable. My goal is to become unrelatable. Now I'll tell you what I mean by that. What I mean by that is to be at my most successful version of me, the one that I picture, is not relatable to my friends and family. Some of my friends maybe actually, but when I think 7-figure business, that will be very unrelatable to my immediate family. So this fear of succeeding to the point that you know you are here to, you know you're going to get to at some point or other, but you don't want people to treat you differently. The fact is that they will, because you will trigger the shit out of them. And that's not on you. This is something that I have to keep telling myself over and over and over again. And this is what happens. So what our brain does then when we have these fears, particularly in this one, right? Our brain wants to close the loop. So when you get to your highest self and you are making X amount of dollars, the figures that you want, your life is just beautiful. I'm not saying it's already not, but when you get to that point that you desire to get to, and maybe it is a point that is unrelatable and it's like, oh, well, no one in my family's ever earned 7 figures. No one earns that X amount a month, whatever it is, okay? No one does this kind of a business. You know what I mean? When you get to that kind of level, what are your biggest fears? And then how can you close the loop? People will want my money. Well, what would you do then if someone did want your money? What would you do if your friends and family asked for money? What would you do? When you have an outcome and you can mitigate those fears, those worst case scenarios, you're closing the loop in your mind. So really take it deep with everything that comes up, all of these blocks. What is going on for you? What do you feel? What's coming up? What emotions? What memories? What potential risks? Negative consequence of success? What are the things that are coming up for you? And how can you close the loop? Like, what's the worst case scenario? And then close the loop. How would you mitigate that if that were to come true? What would you do? Just going to catch up on the chat here. Sorry, I've got to make sure I can see it all. I feel like I'm going for a level that is the exception. Yeah, that's it. And that's a strange one, right? It's a strange one, especially when you don't know how people are going to take it. Because a lot of people love to be successful and talk about that, but also there are a lot of people that don't want you to be more successful than them. Have a think about it. Who's in your life? They're happy for you, but they don't want you to be more successful than them because that's their blocks coming up. You'll start noticing all these come up as you go throughout your day, as you catch up with friends, as you catch up with family, you catch up with clients, you catch up with people online and have conversations. You'll notice it in Facebook groups. You'll notice it everywhere. You'll start noticing people's money blocks. Now, remember, their money blocks are success blocks. They're the same thing in my eyes. They are one and the same. So all of these blocks that I'm talking about are not just money blocks, but they're blocks that block your success, whatever success is to you. They come up. So I don't mind being the weird rich one in the group, just working on getting my brain comfortable with it. That's it. That's all you can do. That is all you can do. You need to get comfortable with it, and someone else's blocks are not your issue. The way that someone else responds to your success is not your issue. You cannot control that. But it is scary because it is unknown, and because you will already have in your mind potential people that you love that won't be okay with it because it will trigger them. But that's not on you. I think that one got you thinking a bit. Lack of patience. Patience is a virtue. I absolutely think this has its place. This is probably one of the biggest ones that I see, which is instant gratification. All right. We need the instant gratification. We need the success now. We need the money now. We need the clients now. We need to be 100% self-employed now. We need to make 7 figures now. We need to whatever it is that shows up for you. Patience is a virtue. Own where you're at. Own where you are. Own your journey. Success is going to continue to change and continue to evolve. Your version of success right now will not be your version of a success in 3 years. Absolutely not. It'd be so different. So be patient. Feel successful in the now and hold the faith that it will all come together, but do the work. All right. I'm not just saying hold the faith and everything will all come together. No, feel successful now. Feel grateful now. Have the patience and the faith that it's going to come together because you're moving. And you're not waiting for all the stars to align before you take action. You're taking action. You don't need to know the full steps from A to Z. You're just taking the one step. Patience is something that has always paid off every single time in my life. And I mean patience in terms of trusting your own authority. Now, what I mean by that is when you know it's the right decision for you, but it's not the right decision right now. There's a couple of things that need to line up first, and then it's go time. I see a lot of people put themselves in financial hardship, make things really difficult because they just want everything now. And a lot of the time, this patience also comes to looking at your values. Are you spending money on the things that you value that actually make a difference? Or are you just like, that'll do, I can't be bothered saving up for that, so that'll do, I'll just get the cheaper one. One thing that Mick said to me, and I'm going to reference him a lot because, oh my God, the amount of reels that he sends me, the amount of one-liners that he gives me, I'm like, it's actually golden. I should probably get him to come in here one point. But he'll be terrified. But he said to me, a saying that he come across was, a poor man pays twice. Do you get what I mean by that? A poor man pays twice. So, well, for anyone who's like, what are you talking about? So instead of saving up and practicing patience to get the thing that you want, to do the thing that you want with the right people, now we've got to play into like, are we procrastinating or is this actually the right move? There comes that fine line. I'm sure you can discern the two. You know whether you're procrastinating or whether actually I do need to be patient with this because this is the path I want to take. If you don't do that and you get the cheaper option, the quicker option, the option that is not actually in line with your values at all, and you're just doing it for now, but eventually you're going to pay again and get the better thing, you just pay twice. Or you've just spent time and energy twice. Whereas if you had have just been patient, things will evolve exactly as they're supposed to in the best way for you. That unlock more doors, that unlock more opportunities. Okay. This is the biggest one. Learning manifestation is so helpful with this, to learn to be that woman now, 100%. Oh, isn't it? But I want to have a win once in a while. Yeah, no. Okay, but at the same time, I think for you particularly though, you move so quickly and that's great. At the same time, ask yourself, Is it the right move though, for now? Is this what I really want? Is this moving me towards where I want to go? Because if it's a yes, move. If you're like, nah, I'm just doing this one because it'll work, but I don't really want to do this one. Like there's a difference. You've got to discern it. If you had 100% confirmation from someone saying, this is what's going to happen, would you practice patience on that thing? That's holding the faith. Holding the faith, it's done. It's what you want. It's what you're working towards. It's done. So if you 100% know it's done and you're acting as if it is done, would you practice patience? That's manifestation, right? It's part of it. It's already done. Act as if. Be that woman now. Got it. Yeah. But I still love how quick you move. But that's a really good question for you to ask yourself. All right, 2 more. Analysis paralysis. So the human mind loves to overcomplicate everything and make everything so much more complicated. Basically, I do this. I used to be a project manager, a solution architect. I had designed these businesses. There was so much at risk that, and I know some of you can relate, you make one mistake and it's a big mess up. So this is where sometimes, especially when you're in your own business though, it's actually not that complicated. There are always ways that you can simplify. Simplicity and efficiency are the 2 big pillars in my own business and in my life. I look at my life and I look at my business and I go, how can I simplify this? Save me time. Everyone can make more time. And I want to spend my time doing other things. How can I make this more simple and more efficient? How can I streamline this process? Can I just eliminate it altogether? Is it really that necessary? Overcomplicating causes this analysis paralysis, and then we never actually move. And then 6-12 months down the track, we're like, damn it, I'm still exactly where I was 6 to 12 months ago. I wanted to launch that thing. I wanted to create that thing. I wanted to put that offer out there. I wanted to upgrade this part of my life. Whatever it is, where are you overcomplicating it? Where can you just do it? Where can you actually just move? Or to put one foot in front of the other and take one step forward? Because you're never going to be ready. You're never going to be really ready. I'll wait till I'm ready. I'll wait till I do off-topic example, but when will I be ready to have kids? It's never a right time. But you'll figure it out. It's like in business. It's the same thing. It's never a right time to launch the business, but you'll figure it out. It's never the right time to do anything. But sure as hell, if you're committed enough and you're dedicated enough and this is what you want to bring to life and you want to be an entrepreneur, you're going to have those seasons where you're just like, fuck it, let's just go and I'll figure it out. Don't overcomplicate it. Ask yourself this question if you're overcomplicating it, okay? What is one thing that you can do today? Ask yourself this every single day. What's one thing I can do today that's going to move the needle? Make money, plant the seeds for my future success. One thing. If you do one thing every day, even one thing a couple of times a week, that is literally moving the needle. I'm not just saying working in the business and doing the things that need to be done. I mean working on it, working on the business, the big picture, the vision, the where it's going, creating, expanding. You know what I mean? There's things that you need to do to actually move the needle and expand it, to make more money, to make more, create your legacy, to create the passive income, to create the financial freedom, the time freedom, whatever it is, your big vision. Look at your big vision in mind. What is my big goals? In 12 months' time, what's my big goal? If you don't know that, ask yourself, do the work. What's your big goal in 12 months' time? What can I do today to get me closer to that? Working on your business, on yourself even. Been working on that big time. Yeah. This is a big one for me. Honestly, all these I've gone through, I continually will go through. Sometimes, some of them I'm fine with now, but it's layers. There's layers to this overcomplicating the situation. We naturally overcomplicate. It's what humans do, but it doesn't have to be that complicated. Here's the last one. Refusing to receive. I'm going to give you some examples here that you're probably like, oh, I didn't even think that was anything to do with it. It is. So, refusing to receive. Let me ask you this question. I want to know in the chat. Can you accept a compliment without saying but, without brushing it off? Oh, thanks, but yeah, no. You need to learn how to receive. Abundance comes in so many ways. Okay. So refusing to receive, I mean universal abundance. I don't mean just in money. If you think about your love language, if you don't know your love languages, Google it. What are your love languages? One of the love languages is words of praise. If you can't receive kind words from someone, like you did a great job. Oh, you look wonderful in that outfit. Oh, I love what you did there. If you can't say thank you, and genuinely, like, it's weird to start, I know, because this is one I had to work with because I could not accept a compliment to save myself. And I had no idea until I knew that this was how I was blocking myself. If I was blocking myself in this way, I'm blocking myself in so many other ways. And I tell you what, I opened the floodgates. And I don't just mean people with like words of recognition and stuff, but when I started to learn how to receive a compliment, I started to learn how to receive if someone wanted to shout me, for instance. This ties into the block of wanting to be so independent that you actually shut yourself off and you block your own receivership. And it's a big one. I'm seeing it a lot. I'm actually seeing it a lot at the moment. I'm independent. I'm this. I'm that. Well, it's great to be independent at certain points. Absolutely. But it is also absolutely fine to be supported. You are allowed to be independent when you need to be, and you are allowed to be supported. Because if you can receive support, even support, can I help you with that? Yes, I'd love that. Not like, no, I'll do it myself. And then secretly you're like dying inside and you're about to burn out. Okay. Receiving in every different form. Words, support, someone shouting you. You find $20 in the street and you don't just like give it away. You're like, oh my God, thank you, universe. I literally say this to my kids all the time. I think it was in the post office a few months back. I might have shared this story somewhere, but there was $2 on the ground. And so she picked it up and I was like, thank you, universe. And she literally said, thank you, universe. That might sound weird. That might sound a bit weird, but I'm literally trying to teach her that it's okay to receive. And we always give words of praise and things to the kids because it's teaching them to just say thanks. And even if they might say something kind, like my son loves dishing out compliments. He's 4, but he loves it. He will say to my mum, she got these brand new glasses and no one else noticed that she had brand new glasses, but he did. I think it was like 3 at the time. And he said, I like your glasses, mama. She's like, oh. Like, even that, giving compliments, receiving compliments. It's such a beautiful thing. Thank the universe. Abundance. You're so abundant. Everyone is so abundant. We just forget sometimes because we class abundance often like just money, but it's not just money. Abundance is like the love, your friendships, so many beautiful things. So it's learning to accept abundance in all forms and not just money. It is going to unlock something in you. It did it for me. I sure as hell wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have even been able to accept all you ladies in this group because I would have been like, oh my God, no, like who's going to do that? I would have told myself a million stories. No, I wouldn't. Like, people block themselves from receiving money in their business. They don't put offers out. That would lead to receiving. When someone gives them feedback that's beautiful, they just like, oh, thanks, but like, receive it. Say thank you. Of course you can give something back, but don't take away from what someone said or someone's done. Don't brush it off. Learn to receive, and it's bloody uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable until it's not, and then you will see that flow on effect. This is something I've been practicing for years. Several years. When I first heard it and I realized, oh, I really can't. I cannot accept a compliment. It makes me feel so uncomfortable. Even when someone commented on how I looked, if I was out at an event or something, like, oh, I love that dress. I'm like, oh yeah, well, it's all right. I couldn't. That is one of the biggest blocks, learning to receive. For women, it's very, very hard. It's so common. But if you want a business, you want a thriving business, not just a hobby, you want a business that makes money, you want to be really, really, truly abundant and have financial freedom and passive income, you need to learn to receive. And learning to receive is across the board. Last thing, I know some of you have probably already done this, but if you haven't, take the Money Archetype quiz on my website, moneymindset.hub.com/quiz. Take the quiz. This is going to explain to you what your top 3 money archetypes are, and it's going to uncover a lot more money blocks, success blocks, and self-sabotaging behaviors that you might not have even recognized that you do. Or just like the compliment thing, you might not even realize they had anything to do with your money, your success, or your business, because it's just you. It's just who you are. It's just what I've always done. We're going to change what you've always done, and we're going to amplify your strengths, but we're also going to transcend those challenges where you struggle, where the self-sabotages come up, because you get to choose your personality, and your personality is something that gets strengthened. That's what this whole thing is about. I just sent this quiz to someone else this week. Yeah, it's amazing. When you understand those archetypes a little bit more, you're going to come up with a lot more than what I've just put here. And they'll be more unique to you. Like these 9, I think everybody at some point has come across them or still does. Like I said, I still do sometimes. It's so profound. It's amazing. Do the quiz, check it out, uncover more of your blocks, and it's going to blow your mind.